love ECU? Do you bleed purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors?
Hoist the colors!
It's time for the most in-depth look into the world of ECU athletics. Welcome to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Here's Stephen Igo.
Welcome in. It is Hoist the Colors on a Wednesday. One day away from the real March Madness beginning, although we did have the first four get underway last night. Tough loss for NC State. They lose on a last-second shot to Texas. We'll talk about that. In the World Baseball Classic, USA falls to Venezuela in what was a pretty exciting game. Bryce Harper ties it up late, but then Venezuela, Eugenio Suarez go-ahead double in the top of the ninth, and USA gets closed out. We'll discuss that much more. ECU spring football is underway, although you can't even really call it spring football. I mean, that's what it is named, but at the same time, it was like 30 degrees with a real feel of 24 degrees this morning, so it was cold, but the guys are back out in the practice field. We'll talk about our biggest spring football storylines, what we saw this morning in our 20-30 minute window, and a whole lot more. We are also now through the weekend non-conference ECU baseball season. Conference play begins this weekend. We are going to grade ECU baseball in several different categories to this point as conference play begins. So a lot to do in the next hour. We were going to have James Giglio on the show last week. He was at the ACC tournament, so that was at least a legitimate excuse. He was working it. This week, not so legitimate of an excuse. He left his laptop in Raleigh, so he has to drive back to Raleigh to get his laptop, and therefore he cannot come on today's show. He was going to join us over the phone. Philip Pilkington producing today, intern Isaiah hanging out, but I'm just like, you know what? As your punishment, we shouldn't even allow you on the show, James. You have to drive back home to get your laptop. First off, you made a good point, Philip. It's Wednesday. School was back Monday. You just now realize you got to go back and get it?
Yeah, James normally does not do stupid stuff. We've had interns who do stupid stuff. James is not one of those guys. And in the last, 48 hours, I'm really starting to question what's going on up there. He was the thing was, I talked to him Friday night, and he was leaving Charlotte to go to the beach. Was he in Charlotte for a week without his laptop? Or maybe he came back from the beach Sunday and then spent the Sunday night at his parents' house. This is maybe what happened. I don't know.
He was texting me this morning, and that's the other thing. He texted me at like 9:30. I forgot my computer in Raleigh. I have to go get it in the morning, so I may not be able to make the show. My apologies. And I kind of gave him some crap for it. He said, yeah, I know, my bad. I don't know what I'm doing. I got back from the beach last night and went to do homework and thought I left it at the beach, but my mom texted and said it was at home. He said, I apologize for this. I will be locked back in for the rest of the year/season. Are we buying that he's going to be locked in from this point forward?
All right. Well, if you want your dose of Giglio, Joe Giglio will be on the Patrick Johnson show today, so at least you get your Giglio dose. But man, that is fun. We'll be locked in.
He's going to be locked in. He is a big March Madness guy, so I'm disappointed. Maybe he'll make a cameo at some point over the next coming days to give his take. But
yeah, I mean, he's like me. He lives for this. He's like me, where he's like in September, he's like thinking about how many months it is till the first day of the NCAA tournament. I'm disappointed.
I am disappointed as well, but we'll see. We'll see if he is locked back in. Maybe we should grade our interns along with ECU baseball. And James, of the last few days, not doing as well.
But Isaiah wants to get interns graded.
Isaiah right now would have a much better grade than James. He's showing up. He's not leaving his laptop, so.
He's just creating bets on air with our guests.
Yes. Hey, well, you know what?
That's good content right there.
At least he's here. All right, we're going to talk some ECU baseball, Elon. I guess we can just hit that real quick because, it was kind of a nondescript game. Cameron saying, glad we won yesterday, but another unconvincing performance. Feels like we have no one in our lineup who can be, quote, that guy, that we have had in the past, like Norby, Packard, Worrell. I mean, I get what you're saying. I'll say this, being at the game last night, again, I'm not making excuses, but like it wasn't great baseball weather, especially once the sun went down. I'm just glad they found a way to win. There was like the atmosphere was bad. There was nobody there. Credit to the people who did show up. I talked to some Pirate fans, some diehards, but Ryan Towers was good. You got enough swings off. It wasn't really an offensive day, but they found a way to win, and they did it without Jack Herring in the lineup, who, by the way, may be back as soon as this weekend as a DH, according to Cliff Godwin, but I'm just glad they won.
I am too, and I think that's what CG was glad about was the victory. Braden has been on base in all 22 games. Colby gets his first homer, had a 2-hit day. Walker Barron, 2 hits, pair RBI. So, I think we know who the guys are. I mean, I get what they're saying. It's not like a true game changer, like this guy stands a chance to go to the pros kind of deal. I think Braden still is that guy. It's just different now because our guy who is that guy is not also a home run hitter. He's it feels like a guaranteed get on base. Last time he didn't get on literally was the last game of last season. So you got that. But now I get what you're saying. But hey, what I liked about yesterday, once again, the pitching staff was tested. You had to throw out a lot of arms. You put Frank Saccone out there in a spot that normally he wouldn't be in, and he pitched well. Let's continue to build depth. Also, I'm just as guilty as anybody about this. Why the heck have we not talked more about Charlie Hoagland? He doesn't have this magnificent stuff, but he goes up there and he gets outs.
I'm to the point where, and we'll hit this more we're going to grade the bullpen. I mean, you got Sean Jenkins, and after that, I don't really know who your number 2 guy is. And, Charlie Hoagland is starting to become closer to that than I ever thought he would be. But we'll get more into that discussion. So, yeah, Johnny Stats is in the chat. He says, in Colby Wallace's career, the Pirates are now 10-0 when he hits a home run and 23-3 when he has an extra base hit. So there is
it's like Seth Jarvis when he scores a goal.
Yeah, good stat. Jonathan Wagner is in. He says, I'm a big Charlie Hoagland fan. So you and Wags are on one accord there. Terry Long wants to know where Thomas Paxton is. He was down in the bullpen playing hacky sack pregame, so I can confirm he's down there. I don't know if anything's going on as far as arm soreness or what, but yeah, we have not seen him in a while. I'll try to ask if he doesn't throw this weekend. And quick thing here before we move on to the World Baseball Classic. ECU, they went 10-4 over those 14 games, Philip. And I know it wasn't pretty, and I know the last week and a half still not fulfilling as a fan maybe to watch, but they have won 5 of 6, and they're 10-4. They're now 13-8-1. So I think they did what they needed to do. It would have been nice to go 11-3 over that stretch. We talked about it when they were 3-4-1. They had 14 games before conference play started. They needed to go at least 10-4. They did that exactly. Missed a chance to go 11-3, maybe 12-2, but they've kind of righted the ship enough to where if they now take care of business in conference play, which is easier said than done, then I still think they'll be in good shape. So did what they needed to do as far as wins. All right, World Baseball Classic last night. It was kind of I don't want to say boring game, but it was a well-pitched game, and USA just could not get anything going offensively against Venezuela. Credit their staff. I thought it was pretty clear in the middle innings. USA started to press. And then you get the big swing by Bryce Harper to tie the game in the bottom of the 8th, the 2-run jack. He hits the salute coming around third base, looks at the camera, points to the patch, and that was pretty awesome. And then, of course, your boy Garrett Whitlock from the Red Sox goes out there and walks the leadoff man in the top of the 9th. Gives up a close stolen base, which could have gone either way, but obviously stuck with the call on the field. I think he was safe. And then Eugenio Suarez, go-ahead double. As a Mariners fan, there probably is no player I have liked more personality-wise than Gino Suarez. So, I was happy for him. And, Team Venezuela, they earned it. They beat Japan. They beat a red-hot Italy team, and then they took out USA in the championship. So they earned it. I'm happy for them, their fans. You saw just how much it meant to them. And I think USA just didn't show up offensively when they needed to. And it's disappointing as a U.S. citizen, but I still think it was an awesome classic, and I commend and I'm happy for Venezuela with the way, for the way they played and, for their championship.
Yeah, I think the frustrating thing is you made Erod look like he was a Cy Young winner. Like, that was pre-COVID Erod. That part was frustrating. I think the approach at the plate was not great. But, at the end of the day, look, would I rather lose to Italy, who 99% of the people that live in Italy right now don't have a clue this game's going on, or lose to Venezuela, where you see the pregame, and while their national anthem is being played, every single Venezuelan person is like singing at the top of their lungs, and they're bringing their culture to the stadium, playing their drums, some cultural outfits. If you're going to lose, you want to lose to somebody where they appreciate what it means to beat you at your own game on your own turf. And, the other thing that was so great about last night, the ticket prices were reasonable. The people who were there were not a bunch of celebrities, not the top 1%. Those were everyday working class Americans and Venezuelans who love the game of baseball, who care, and got to go out there and celebrate their team, celebrate their country, celebrate their culture. And baseball is a huge part of the Venezuelan culture, so congratulations to them. I was absolutely disappointed, but if you're going to lose to a team, I want to lose to a team of people who give a crap.
Shout out Carlos Jacome, ECU baseball second baseman. I remember interviewing him when he signed with ECU as a transfer. He talked about playing baseball in Venezuela growing up and how crazy it was anytime he played a game there. And the fan base, just for any baseball game, would go crazy. And so, I know he cared. I shot him a message. He was fired up. Obviously, he was hoping for a good game. And, as someone who was born and raised playing baseball in Venezuela, I know it meant a lot to him to see them win. So, congrats to him, and I thought overall was a well-played game. So the World Baseball Classic concludes. That means opening day a little over a week away, MLB.
That's crazy, a little over a week away. And intern Isaiah, I'm just going to let him say it. I'm going to let him remind everybody, because he did make a point before this. Anytime we can bag on a Yankee, I'm going to let him do it.
Hey, man, I told everybody that fake captain over there in New York City. I mean, I told y'all about him. The man went 2 for 11. We just giving legends just – the captain, everybody stood up yesterday when Aaron Judge came up. It was an all-rise party, and we all got to sit right back down because we knew what was about to happen. I mean, we 2 for 11. He plays just like he does in the postseason. I mean, I don't understand the captain stuff.
Look, Aaron Judge is a freak of nature, but at this point, he clearly, in those clutch moments, people can say there's a big debate out there in baseball, like. The clutch factor is just, it doesn't exist. It just happens to be whether or not you get the hit in that moment. But I firmly believe that, there's something about being able to slow your heartbeat down in those moments and come through. And for whatever reason, Judge just seems to have trouble. But
you know who doesn't? Bryce Harper. Because Bryce Harper right now, he started as a superstar. He's turned into just a smidge above average player. But big moments, Bryce Harper comes through.
Yeah, and Aaron Judge now 230. He's a 236 hitter in the postseason in 65 games, and then for his career, much better than that. So 331 hitter last year, 294 overall. So can't disagree with Isaiah so much. And I was disappointed my guy Cal Raleigh didn't at least get an at bat in the final 2 games. I know he struggled as well, but the guy hit 60 plus homers last year. And you need a home run. Maybe pinch hit the guy who hit 60-plus bombs. Yeah.
Obviously, he was 0 in it. I have no problem with him not getting the start. Yeah. Obviously, you wonder what if he would have been throwing that ball down, because it wasn't a great ball down by Will Smith, who normally does have a pretty good pop, pop time. But, I was a little disappointed there, especially at the end. It's like, man, you just need a guy to sit back 1-1 and hit it into orbit.
All right. We'll hit NC State at the end of the show. How about that? In the first 4, let's get a break in. That way we'll have plenty of time to dive into our ECU football spring storylines. We're also going to do some grades for ECU baseball through non-conference play. So we'll get a break in now. We'll come back. We'll hit ECU football after this.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arrgh! In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Allen, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice.
Climb aboard as we set sail and hoist the colors.
Arr, matey!
Back to the show with Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game.
And Hoist the Colors, segment 2. We'll talk some more ECU baseball in segment 3. We got some end of non-conference weekend series grades to hand out for Pirate Baseball. We'll do that. Of course, they still have midweeks going forward, but conference play here this weekend. We're going to talk some spring football now, as we have a chance to really get to follow this team in the spring. A lot of new faces, a lot happening, and we've got a lot to cover. And we'll talk about our favorite spring football storylines to watch. Feel free to weigh in the chat, active chat today. So if you got something you really want to know, drop it in the chat. We'll get to it. But let's first hit on what we saw this morning. It was cold. It was windy. The wind chill was like 24 degrees, according to Apple Weather, which is, about 50% right, 50% wrong, so who knows. But, there's just so much chaos happening. And I did our VIP observations on hoistthecolors.net. You can subscribe right now for 50% off and read all that. But, as a reporter who covers the team, I go out there on the first day, and I'm just trying to spot the numbers, figure out who's who. I mean, there are so many new numbers, new coaches, new faces. It's and the team, Philip, is moving so fast from drill to drill. Even when they're going their team stuff, when we're out there, it's tempo. So they've got two offenses running at one time. It's organized chaos and it's hard to follow. But I do think the guys, despite the weather, came out with energy. We at least saw some of the lineups on day one. It'll change a lot, but any big initial takeaways for you just off the energy, initial feeling out there?
Oh, they wanted to be out there, I can tell you. They were not, we were kind of cowering in the cold, me, you, and Peyton. They were not. They wanted to be out there. They were ready to go. With that being said, my biggest takeaway, you brought it up. Emory Williams might have been the biggest dude on the field.
He's huge.
Oh, my goodness. That's a Division I athlete right there. And if he does not work out and he loses this quarterback job, hey, buy him a pair of gloves. I'll pay for his pair of gloves, baby. That dude can play tight end, I guarantee you.
And, he's not only big, but he's pretty cut for a big dude. He's just jacked. So, him and Mitch Griffiths could not be on more opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of size, and it's such an interesting quarterback battle. We'll kind of segue this into our biggest storylines to watch. I kind of wrote this article on Hoist the Colors too, and number one is obviously the quarterback competition. And from my understanding, we won't talk to Blake, by the way, till early next week, so we won't really get a report from him on the record until Monday. But you've got Mitch Griffiths, Emory Williams set to split reps throughout spring. From what I could tell when we were out there, Mitch Griffiths was first up with the ones today, and I assume they'll just continue to split that. Mitch is smaller, but he moves a little bit better as far as footwork. He also has a little bit of a cleaner release, quicker, but it's not as strong of an arm. And then you have Emory Williams, who kind of has more of a longer release. He has tightened it up some compared to some of the film I've watched earlier at Miami. Maybe doesn't move as well, but accuracy is there and ball velocity is definitely there. And it's just such a contrast maybe in physical profiles that I'm really intrigued on what obviously the best man is going to win, but do they have to change the offense at all based on who's in the game? Because I think Griffiths is a little bit of a better runner, not that Emory can move, but I am curious to see how much quarterback run game is involved, because Mestamaker didn't do a lot of it at North Texas, but he was mobile enough to do some of it. And just obviously the quarterback competition is something we'll be monitoring every time we're out there. It's just a matter of how much are we actually going to be able to see it.
Yeah, that's going to be the tough thing. They give us some indie period, they give us some quick tempo, but it's not like we're out there for true team period, So that part of it is tougher. As will they have to, change the offense. Look, possibly. And, you mentioned the running thing, and that's obviously a part of it. But then also you go with the quick release side of things. There's really 10 plays to the air raid offense. You have your 5 true deep air raid plays and your 5 quick hitter plays, which have a little bit more West Coast tendencies. Right now, you would think if Griffiths were to win the job, you would be running a lot of the stuff off of those shorter, quicker tendencies. Like you said, probably a little more accurate, a little quicker release, not as much arm strength. If Emory Williams wins the job, expect to see more of a Los Angeles Rams maybe type style offense would be the way to put it, or a Detroit Lions kind of offense as opposed to a Seattle Seahawks type offense. So, but that's just right now. It's here we are, March 18th, right? Long way to go. They're going to hone in on these guys, but I'm just saying if we had to play 2 halves of a football game tomorrow, one with each guy at quarterback, that's what I would expect.
One of the other things I wrote, storylines, offensive staff, obviously new coordinator Jordan Davis, and just his new staff outside of Hunter McKay at tight ends coach. Basically, all the new position coaches are, first time working together. You do have Juan Soto, receivers coach, not the standout baseball player. He came with Davis from North Texas, but you got these guys like Julian Griffin, the running backs coach, and the new offensive line coach all working together for the first time. But I thought day one they looked, on one accord. Obviously, day one, you expect that to a degree. There's not too much going on as they get another week or two into camp. How will they continue to adjust? I thought it was, it felt a lot like, and the scheme's not going to be entirely the same, but I heard some of the same terminology and we saw some of the same drills that we saw under John David Baker. So even though it is, kind of a different tree that JDB comes from versus Jordan Davis, it's clear they're still going to be about tempo and getting the ball out and putting pressure on the opposing defense, putting them on their heels. I like that they're not going away from that style.
Yeah, so these two offenses, even though they're different in maybe the result and how it looks on the field, a lot of the skill sets are the same. And so this was day one of spring ball, Steven. So to your point where you say a lot of the drills are the same, a lot of the things that you need to hone in on and beat on your craft on as a wide receiver, as a running back, as, even an offensive lineman, in the two offenses, those foundation pieces are going to be a lot of the same. And I think that's why this was a really good coordinator hire. Yes, it's the era of the portal where you do have more moving parts than ever, but you still have a handful of returning faces on this roster, and you want to, hone in on the skill set of the guys who are already here. So, yes, we will see a lot of similarities, especially early in practice, and that's not just only early in the season, but early in those individual periods that we see that we're there for the first, 20 minutes, and where it's going to look a lot different is going to be on the chalkboard.
Couple things that stood out to me from an alignment perspective. Brock Spalding, we know he can play slot and outside. Landon Sides, the North Texas transfer, we know he can play the slot and outside. At least for today, when we were out there, we saw Brock more in the slot, and we saw Landon Sides on the perimeter. We saw Ray Joseph getting some time in the slot. I think Jeremiah Melvin, the Wake Forest transfer, I don't know if he was banged up. I didn't see him out there with the receivers. I may have missed him, but I think he was off to the side at one point. And so the other guy, Tyler Johnson, former Penn State transfer, he was getting some number one reps at outside receiver. So one of the storylines I'm watching is, can a frontline receiver emerge? Because between Brock Spalding, Landon Sides, Jakeith Hamilton transfer from Furman, Ray Joseph, obviously Jeremiah Melvin as well, and even some of the younger receivers coming back, I feel like they have good depth. I just want to know if there's going to be a top guy emerge, because who's going to be that go-to guy for Emory Williams or Mitch Griffiths? Is it going to be Brock in the slot? Is it going to be Landon Sides, one of these new other transfers who haven't played as much but have talent? That's what I'm really curious about. We'll know more of that in scrimmages, but that's a big storyline for me.
Yeah, you'll know more in scrimmages, but you really won't know until you get down to Tuscaloosa. Of course, you can see somebody doing a game. The interesting thing, it's going to be a combination of talent and coaches wanting to play you. Look, I think Tyler Johnson's one of those guys the coaches want to play because he runs his routes hard. He blocks really well. We saw him blocking 80 yards downfield in that NC State game this past year. He is one of those guys. He is tough. He is big. He is physical. He is a leader. These are the kind of guys that coaches do not want to see sit on the bench. However, I don't think he's the most physically gifted guy. And your go-to guy is going to have to be a physically gifted guy. But the thing is, if you don't block, if you don't want to be out there, you're not going to stem your routes hard. When you get hit by a linebacker, on your route, you're not going to, play through that contact. You're not going to be on the field either. So it's tough, man. It's tough to find your go-to receiver. It's one of the harder positions to kind of get figured out there. And, I'm going to be excited to see. I think we saw a lot last spring with the receivers. We got to code for a lot of one-on-one drills, and I'm hoping we get to see a lot of those this year because it's always a fun thing to see.
Davy Jones with a good question. I'll have to pay attention to this next time I go out. So I don't know if you looked at it all today. He says, is the offensive line utilizing wide splits with that unit? Typically in the air raid, you do have wider splits in like a true air raid. I didn't notice that today, but also we're kind of more off to the side, more so than an end zone angle, like when they're doing team stuff, so it's harder to notice.
So there was the only drill I really got to see a good view of the offensive line. They were one-on-one battles with the offense and the defensive line, but the offense, they had all five guys up there, and during that when the splits were wider, it was more of what you would expect. Again, I guess we'll look closer Friday in that team period, but like I said, we were at a kind of a weird angle. That was actually the hardest thing for us to see.
They had Brandon Best, the Kennesaw State transfer, working at center, which isn't a huge surprise to me. He was an all-conference guard at Kennesaw State, but build-wise, he looks more like a center than a guard, and also Carson Jones he was out there, but he's still not 100%. So how the offensive line lines up, you had Hayes Creel working at right tackle, the Southern Miss transfer. You had Ethan Kramer from Northern Arizona. He was working at one of the guard spots. You had Bryce Weaver working at left tackle. And again, just reminding people, this is day one. They're going to continue to move around, see what fits best. But that was kind of one of the things I was looking for is how does the offensive line align? What does the depth look like? Defensively, you're going to see a ton of rotation. We know just across the board, they want to be at least 2 deep at every position, if not 3 deep. Blake Harrell does, Philip. So I did think it was interesting, at least at the start of practice, at cornerback. We talked about all the transfers they brought in, but getting some first-team reps were the two redshirt freshmen that they like a lot, Darian Horsley and Angelo Ross. So corner for me, I'm keeping a close eye on. What about you defensively as this spring moves? Like, what are some big storylines there?
Yeah, I think it's the corner, and then also that star position. Is this a position, we kind of talked about it going into last year. Do they change it up based off the position, who is there? Also throughout the spring, do they change up who's there based off what the opponent is running? That's what I was trying to say. Also, last year around this time, we saw guys move in and out of that room. And sometimes it was guys who were just losing a position battle. Other places, sometimes it was guys we thought were a better fit. So does somebody come down from that safety room? That was something we were talking about, when we were doing our position room previews, that it is a pretty deep safety room. So I really think where does everybody fit is going to be a huge question. And also, with the linebacking room, we kind of hit on that as well. Do we see guys, hey, he originally starts out here and then he moves to go fit at another spot? And the more positions the guys can learn, the better off you're going to feel about having depth.
A couple more questions from the chat. We'll get out of here for our next break. But David Jones says, are our running backs more fast, shifty guys, or do we have some big, powerful running backs? I think you have a combo. Right now, I would say the room is more shifty and powerful than straight line speed. Like TJ Engelman is more shifty. He's got some speed, but he's not like a breakaway guy. I think Ashton Gray has some home run potential, but he's more shifty, powerful, more of a combo back. And then Michael Allen, interesting running back. He's like bigger, physical. He's not really shifty, but he's a straight line runner. So like he can run through some people, and if he gets a seam, he can take it to the house. DeJuan Lacey's still coming back from injury, so I would kind of categorize it. You don't have necessarily the true home run guy in that room right now, but it's an overall pretty shifty. And then like Gray and Allen are both 200-plus pounds, so they can get some power going. We also had a question, do we feel like Mitch Griffiths is more of the point guard quarterback who can like distribute the football versus Emory Williams? I do think Mitch falls more so into that category, a guy who can read the field, make the right throws, the quick throws. But I will say after watching Emory, he does have the big arm. The thing that stood out to me about Miami is he throws the ball very well, short and intermediate for a guy, who has a strong arm. So, like, I think they both are capable of doing it. I just think you may have a little more pop with Williams when he gets it, gets a chance to really get his feet into it and his whole body into it.
Yeah, and with that quick release that we were talking about with Griffiths, yeah, maybe that he is more the distributor. But to your point, Emory's got touch. This is not a flashback for our older listeners there to when Elway came out of Stanford and they were saying, well, he doesn't have touch. He could throw the deep ball. He's got the arm strength, but can he hit the shallow drag? No, I think Emory Williams can do that. I think he can facilitate when he has to and be that point guard. The question is when it's the catch and quick release with that big swooping arm motion. Like we said, he was probably the third biggest guy on the field. Does that take too long? He's not like Tim Tebow where he's bringing it way down here, but he also is not, he's not quick, almost quick sidearm flinging it out of there like Phillip Rivers either.
And then the final thing I'm looking forward to this spring is leadership. You're not going to be able to tell it on day one, and you may not even be able to tell it through spring ball, but as the offseason goes along, I just want to know who amongst these new faces are going to step up as leaders. This team has lost some significant older players the last few years. We know Blake Harrell wants to have a team that relies on player leadership. Some of that you can kind of push on guys, but a lot of it has to happen organically. And I'm curious to see, especially on offense, who are going to be those guys who step up to lead as the spring moves along. So there are some of your spring storylines. There's your spring discussion.
I will say when stretching was going on and when they broke down, Mason Brown was the vocal guy that I saw, that I made a mental note of during the 20 minutes we were out there. Also during the team period, he was not the tempo one, but just the one where they were running two different offenses. He was the one that was very vocal, dead ball, making sure people were in the right place.
All right, so there you go. I mean, hey, walk-on tight end stepping up and leading the way. I mean, he is a veteran of that room. He's a good blocking. And we've seen it before. Preston Carr, former walk-on, has become the face of the defense. So he is stepping up in that regard. So there's your insight from day one out at practice. All right, we will get a break in. We'll come back. We will grade ECU baseball. do some grades kind of around the horn defensively, hitting, pitching, starting pitching, relief pitching, all that after this.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown. At National Finance, we're all about hometown support, just like ECU football. National Finance helps us win on and off the field. They've got your back when you need it most. Fast, easy personal loans for life's big plays. And just like us, they're committed to Eastern North Carolina. National Finance, proud supporters of ECU athletics. Visit nfcmoney.com for loans as fast as today.
Make every day electric on the Kawasaki Electro 20 electric balance bike. Maximize the fun with long run times, impressive top speed, and Kawasaki build quality. Easy adjustability and smooth handling make everyday riding more enjoyable. And the standard MTB type tires provide off-pavement capability. The Kawasaki Electro 20 is the electric balance bike that's built to rip. Go to Ron Ayers Motorsports, Memorial Drive north of the airport, Greenville.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors. Let's do some baseball grading. Non-conference play on the weekends is over. Midweeks will continue. Pirates still have a number of those left, but they start conference play this weekend against UAB. To this point, ECU has played. So this tie really messes with me. 22 total games. 13-8-1. And you're 6 games short of the halfway point of the season, but you are into your conference schedule again this weekend. So we're going to do some grades. What we're going to do is we're going to grade the hitting as a whole. We're going to grade the infield defense as a whole, the outfield defense, the starting pitching, and the relief pitching. So 5 categories. Just some numbers here. Shout out to Pirate Fan, PHAN, on Hoist the Colors. He provides some context. ECU ranks 26th nationally in batting average, hitting well above 300 as a team, 26th in hit, 26th in sack bunts, 34th in hit by pitches. Pirates also rank top 50 in doubles, 61st in runs, 64th in on-base percentage, but just 141st in home runs. So high average. The performance has also been inconsistent. That's the toughest thing here, Philip. It's like it's been all or nothing. And average. We've heard Cliff Godwin say himself, batting average is evil. So, like, obviously, if you're hitting over 300 as a team, that's pretty good. But how valuable is that if you're not hitting for a ton of power and you're not doing it consistently against good pitching? So, I'm a little torn here on the hitting. I'll let you go first, and then I'll give my grade.
Yeah, no, you're saying. I mean, look, if you look at Wednesday and Friday, you had 31 runs over 2 games. That's really great, but that's going to help skew those numbers. Look, to me, I'm going to put hitting at a C. And, I'm not going to go worse. And I know some people have been really disappointed because the potential's there, and you've had – it seems like every guy in the lineup has had at least one multi-hit game. They're proving they can be consistent player or proving they can be good players. But for all those reasons, I can't go less than a C. But the reason it's hard to go more than a C is because some days they look like they can't hit water if they fell out of a boat. They kind of look like, Team USA from last night, So, and look, they've ran into some good pitching. You got a good performance on Saturday from that Penn dude. You had a great performance from the guy from Western in that Sunday game. But then you go back to, the previous Saturday against Coastal Carolina, and, I thought Coastal's pitching was decent that day, but still, you didn't really hit the ball. And then you've dug yourself into some holes by not hitting well. And I don't know. So I'm going to go C to a C+ on the hitting side.
I'm going C+. I think they've had enough good moments to be slightly above average offensively, and the numbers bear that out. But I think the inconsistency of the offense and the lack of pop at times has been concerning. And I do think some power will come around. They've already hit, I think now, 4 home runs over the last 2 games. Colby hopefully hits a hot streak here with some power. Irby, we'll see if Jack can get back. But some of their power bats just haven't necessarily hit for power. I think that'll come at some point. But I'm going C+. They've racked up some big numbers on subpar pitching, and they've been too inconsistent, especially at home. 3 shutouts at home already through less than half a season is not great. So I think ECU's got high standards for hitting, and I do as well. All right, infield defense. ECU ranks, let's see, fielding percentage nationally 140. Now, something to keep in mind here. 10 of the team's 22 errors, Philip, came in the first 4 games of the season when Matt Lashley was not playing shortstop. So how much does that factor into your grade here?
For the infield, I think I'm going to kind of grade them on the infield. I think that they are right now, what we've seen. So, it might knock it down from, it's not going to knock it down a whole letter grade. It might knock it down 1, make a B minus or something like that. But overall, I guess for the second time, I'll go ahead and go. Look, the infield, to me, it's been solid. I'd give it a B minus, and maybe it would be a B if it wasn't for some of those early struggles. But, I still think that it's not like we've made any spectacular plays in the infield. They've been decent at turning double plays, but I still feel like there's sometimes over there Irby's working a little harder than he needs to be.
I'm going B. I think I'm grading it more on Lashley being at shortstop. He's made a couple errors, but, look, when you're a shortstop, it's going to happen. It's the toughest position to play on the field. I feel like Colby has played a better third base, what we expect over these last few weeks, and then Irby's been solid at first. Hawkeye made a nice play at second base last night. So, and I think Walker, after a subpar start, has been really good behind the plate. So I'm going to go B for infield defense. Now, outfield defense, and maybe something happened in a game that wasn't televised, but we were talking pre-show. I feel like there has not been a standout play. I guess you had Jack Heron make a nice catch opening weekend, but there has not been a guy thrown out at the plate or anything crazy. They've missed multiple opportunities on medium to shallow fly balls for sac flies that they could have made plays at the plate. I'm going D+. Is that too harsh? I just feel like they haven't done anything great.
Yeah, but they also, I don't know if they have any official errors either.
But yeah, you had the issue of diving. They've dove for a few balls, ended up as triples, and
that has happened. I'm going to go C-.
Yeah.
But I've been the tougher one on them so far, so we got to flip the script one time. You got to be the tougher one. Yeah, I'm going to go C- just because it's not like they've really, the exception of some of those diving mistakes, they haven't really hosed the team. But again, we're used to throwing some guys out at the plate. We're used to some spectacular balls caught in gaps. and it just doesn't seem like they're just like a routine, like they're like a defense that you would have on like a child's video game, right? They catch the balls they're supposed to catch, and that's about it. Nothing special.
Yeah, I feel like Grady Linehan's played a very, very solid center field, but I think he had maybe one diving catch against somebody recently. I can't remember who it was, but there's no real highlight reel plays that stand out to me. And I have missed some innings here or there just because it's baseball. It's hard to catch everything. And, when they play at William & Mary, we can barely even hear the game. So maybe I'll ask Dylan Johnson because I know he's called every inning this year when he joins us on Thursday. So we'll do that and get his take on it. All right, starting pitching. I would say the strength of the team to this point has been the pitching. The starting pitching, I think, has been excellent. Outside of, honestly, Ethan Norby, and that's partly because we just expected so much from him. So what do you go with starting pitching? What grade would you give?
A-. Again, the rotation maybe hasn't quite, or Norby, I guess, hasn't lived up quite to the expectations, but, the midweek starters have been getting deeper even than Cliff has intended on them going in a lot of these situations. GVK has been phenomenal. Colby was good up until his last two starts, but obviously it looks like he was probably injured during both of those two. So it's hard for me to, without, just a few just amazing performances, give him an A or an A+, just because of what we've learned or come to be used to here with Trey and Root and last year's Norby, but I'm going to go A-.
You've had 5 pitchers start games this year for ECU. Van Kempen, Norby, Colby Weber, Ryan Towers, and Tolik has also started 3 games. And I feel like they've all done their job. Towers had a few rough starts early and Tolik up and down, but both those guys coming off major injuries. Norby obviously has had some disappointing outings by his standards, but with GVK doing what he's doing, Colby, unfortunately the injury, but I think he has, lived up to expectations, if not surpassed them early on. I think you've got to go in the A category here. I do go A- as well because I just think with Norby not necessarily being the dominant Friday night ace we expect. Opponents are hitting 306 against him. He's also hit 8 batters, which leads the staff by a wide margin. So, I think once he gets his fastball command locked down, the staff will be good or even better, but I think A- is appropriate, more so than A or A+.
The one quick thing I'll say about Norby, I know we keep going. What I like is he's still got that stuff on his breaking stuff. He still is showing you the pitcher he can be. It's just, like you said, a little lack of command. He has hit some guys. He hasn't walked a lot of guys. He just catches too much white. So the movement's still there. The potential's still there. I'm not worried about Norby. He just, everybody has little slumps, and I think he just happens to be in one.
He's getting swings and misses, 32 Ks in 22 innings against 8 walks. The ratios are all there except for the hits allowed and the hit by pitches. And a lot of it comes back to fastball command, which Coach has talked about, because the breaking stuff, the changeup is there. All right, relief pitching. Sean Jenkins has been a stud, and nobody in the bullpen's really been bad behind him. You've been able to kind of mix and match. No, I will say you don't really have a dominant number 2 setup guy right now, but you have options. So where do you go on relief pitching at this point?
I'm going A. Normally, this point of the year, you got 3 dudes whose ERA is over 11. And when they have to go out on a Tuesday night, you're pulling your hair out. There's nobody on this roster I feel like that about. Again, there's only one guy I 100% trust, but there's a lot of guys I feel moderately confident in. And in this era of college baseball, really any era of college baseball, especially this one at a program that's not in the SEC, that's A pitching right there.
I am going to go B+. Love Jenkins, and I love, like you mentioned, the options. You got Ethan Rose, Marley, Nick Moran, Charlie Hoagland, Joseph Webb's been pitching better lately. Depending on whether he's starting or not, and Tolik. Luke Payne has shown some good stuff. You've seen Saccone have a scoreless inning last night. And so I feel like ECU's got more options. Did I mention Nick Moran? He's another one as well. Okay, if healthy. So Boucher could be a possibility too. So I just think you have more depth. I just want to see 2 or 3 of those guys be more consistent, but I like the makings of it. So there's your non-conference ECU baseball grades. Pitching's good, hitting inconsistent, defense better lately. Still some costly mistakes though. So I think we grade them somewhat tough, but Also fair.
The history of this program made us be tougher on them. And, we think this is a good baseball team.
No doubt. So let's get a break in. We'll come back. We'll talk about the first four last night. NC State losing in a tough one. Also, crazy finish between UMBC and Howard. We'll discuss that. Maybe talk some more NCAA tournament to wrap up the show.
Get ready to bring on the savings at Greenville Toyota with major deals on brand new Toyotas like a Camry, $229 a month, or RAV4, $279 a month. Now's your turn to save at Greenville Toyota.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors, with locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Your future is full of possibilities, and Pitt Community College can help you explore every option. You can earn a degree, learn a trade, transfer to a university, or launch a new career. We offer the support you need to succeed with flexible schedules, affordable tuition, and programs designed for the real world. Your path, your future, your college. Pitt Community College. Register now.
Bring on the savings with new Toyotas from $159 a month at Greenville Toyota. Get huge discounts like Corollas $159 a month or Tacomas $249 a month. Save today at Greenville.
Everything you need to know in the world of ECU athletics. This is Hoist the Colors with Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Final few minutes of the show. The first four got off to a great start last night. I'm usually not a huge fan of watching the first four. It just doesn't feel like the true tournament to me in Dayton, but I was locked in. Went out to a local establishment with a few of my buddies, including my neighbor who's an NC State fan after the game. And so I watched the end of that. And they lose on Tremont Mark's game-winning shot with 1 second left. 68-66, Texas wins to advance to play BYU. Howard beats UMBC 86-83 in an entertaining game in the 16 matchup. I did see Will Wade, NC State coach, say, quote, "This will be the worst team we have at NC State right here. You just watched it. This is the floor of our program. We will be much better moving forward." They spent like $12 to $14 million on this roster, and this is the worst. So they're going to spend more money, or is he just going to do a better job coaching next year?
I think he says he's going to do a better job. Yeah. I think that's what it is. We were talking about the other day, like he won the press conference. They were more excited about the basketball team than the football team. Look, I mean, is it a little bit of a bold statement? Sure, but I do think they will be better next year and they will be better moving forward.
Tonight's first four action continues, Prairie View, A&M, Lehigh, and then I honestly am excited to watch Miami of Ohio, SMU. Curious to see what the home crowd looks like here in Dayton Miami playing in its home state. I'm all in on the Red Hawks. I've got on my bracket. I have Miami/SMU winning against Tennessee, but I'm going for Miami here, man. I would love nothing more. Do I believe they're going to make a run? Not necessarily, but I just hope they do because I'm just tired of the Power 4 narrative creeping into all these sports and people trying to crap on the MAC and crap on baseball conferences that aren't Power 4 in football, acting like the Big Ten and baseball is something special. Anyways, go Miami, Ohio.
Shut up, Bruce Pearl. That's what Steve is trying to say.
Exactly what I'm trying to say. I don't know, man. Who you got tonight between the Red Hawks and Mustangs?
I mean, I think
SMU's
the Ponies
better.
are going to win,
Yeah.
but I'm pulling for Miami of Ohio. I'll be honest with you, I don't know enough about Lehigh and Prairie View A&M. I actually feel like I had a decent feel in the 16 game last night, but I was wrong about that too because UMBC just didn't want to play defense and didn't act like they really wanted to be there. They were just trying to play pickup ball, so that hurt them. But hey, hell of a game though in both those first two games last night. Yeah, this is a fun first four.
Miami of Ohio, by the way, is an hour from Dayton, so I'm expecting a bunch of Red Hawk fans there in the building. So that will be fun. Potentially could have because usually those first four games are sleepy. There's not much of a crowd. I'm expecting a good crowd tonight. So looking forward to that. We're out of time. Tomorrow we'll talk some more ECU baseball. Dylan Johnson will join us for the first time this season, play-by-play voice. We'll get his take on our grades, ECU baseball to this point as well. So looking forward to that. We'll also continue to talk NCAA tournament basketball. We'll see you tomorrow, 12 noon on Hoist the